about it while we just let the stream run. When did it open? 2 days ago?
It opened on Friday.
Okay. Huh.
It's closed 8% below opening price.
Damn.
Yeah. And there were reasons for that because Lyft didn't perform well. There were strikes all week. And also the trade with China makes everything a little wary on the stock market.
Let me see if I can find anything here.
I don't want to focus just on Uber. It's just like that's just a way of getting into the conversation.
Yeah. It's good to know, like, because I don't really know, like, really honestly anything of what's going on with it. So I don't want to seem fucking clueless. Yeah, I like Uber.
Despite the overall gig economy booming, companies like Lyft and Uber going public, the company's staunch resistance to meet driver demands for full-time employment. This is the big thing that I want to talk about. Is like it's not full-time employment. And they don't have benefits.
Well, another thing that we can touch on too is that I was hearing someone talk about the other day because they were like, "Oh, fuck Uber Eats," you know, like
yeah.
People were talking about this shit, and they were like,
"But then
I use DoorDash."
Yeah.
But they were like, "But when you do DoorDash, like, there's a video of a guy that just came out. It just went viral, and it's a video of a dude literally on like their fucking home camera, and he has like a milkshake, and he fucking puts the straw in the milkshake." Sips it
and then
at
gives
the
it to
door, rings the doorbell, then puts the straw cap back on the straw and gives it to the lady. And it's like they don't go through like a job interview. Like it's just like, oh, you can ride a bike, you're hired.
You could say the same thing about the gig economy in general.
Well, that's why I wanted to touch on it.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Oh, this is live.
Fix your camera,
Fix
dude.
my camera. No, not getting my
there
good
you go.
side.
You're better.
I'm better now.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to 20-somethings Sunday edition. Because again, I am in the middle of a very busy time in my life. So Thursday nights are We'll start again this week.
Yeah.
The past 2 weeks, we've had a little bit of an off schedule, but Thursday nights starting again. This coming Thursday, I think it's the 16th. We'll be back on it.
We're making sure we're getting one into you anyway.
Yeah.
So don't worry about it.
We don't miss weeks.
No.
Dude.
Dude.
We've actually. Listen, people, I don't know if you know this, but for 41 weeks now, we've never missed a week.
We've not missed.
For 41 weeks straight.
Well, lies, because
we were sick 1 week,
well,
but we still posted an episode that was never released.
We still posted, and it's 41 weeks is a little misleading, Mr. Crawford, because we did 3 episodes on the first week.
But if you round up about 40 weeks, we've never missed an episode.
Yes,
about 40
yes,
weeks.
Rounding up 40 weeks.
So,
guys, that's pretty fucking impressive.
That's for you. That's for you, our lovely fans. We love bringing you this, and we love to do it. So this week, I'm not sure how many of our listeners are familiar with the news that happened this week revolving around Uber, but I'm sure many of you are familiar with the gig economy. So the gig economy are jobs like drivers that work for Uber or Lyft or TaskRabbit or DoorDash, all of these different like apps that you can download. You fill out a quick application, they do a quick background check, and you kind of have a job where you're making a commission on any like task of some sort that
Right.
you're
It's
doing.
not even just like doing Uber. It's also doing stuff like art online. Like, right, if you're on Etsy, like that's a gig. If you're on Fiverr, you know, anything where you are, like you said, like on an app.
Yeah, it's like an open access platform that you don't even have to you don't interview or anything. It's like if you're willing to put in the time, you can make some money working for these companies.
Right.
And obviously like the model of this is Uber, which we're all familiar with. I mean, like that saying is like repeated a lot. It's like, oh, it's the Uber of this.
Yeah.
Like whenever a new company comes out, it's the Uber of that. It's the Uber of this.
They
like
really were like
company.
the one that kind of. I mean, they weren't the first ones, but they blew the door open.
Yeah, and they pioneered it in that they're international, right? So they have these people working like doing gigs, quote unquote gigs, all over around the world for this one company, right? And they supplanted the cab industry around the world and stuff like that.
Let's dissect that word first. What is a gig? Because I think that's important to distinguish. It's right in there, inherent in the title of what it is. Well, no one's hiding anything.
What I said to Keith, what I wanted to talk about today is that there's a lot happening right now with like their Lyft and Uber just went public, right? And so this is a big deal for people that are unfamiliar. And I'm not like a master at finance, but I know one thing, and it's when you're a public company, you now have investors. And those investors want to see profits being made.
Right.
When you're a startup, you're losing a lot of money, right? So, and this is a big change, right? Like you have a lot of pressure from outside sources that you didn't have before. So now you need to start showing some revenue so that your investors continue to invest in your company.
Right.
Whereas your
company isn't yours anymore. You have a lot less freedom.
Right. And as each quarter finishes, like they want to see improvements. Otherwise, your stock's going to go down.
Right.
So there's a lot of, and I don't know the specifics of it, but there's a lot changing as far as how payments are going down for Lyft drivers and Uber drivers, which has resulted in a bunch of strikes this past week. I don't know if it was just Uber or Lyft as well. I'm not absolutely sure.
I think it was just all cab drivers.
Okay.
I'm not certain. I was in an Uber the other day, and he was talking about it, and he was very pissed off. This guy was like really mad. Because
in some capacity, they're going to start making less money.
Yes.
Because the top people, the company as a whole, needs to start generating more revenue.
Right.
And so you can't generate revenue if your employees are making too much money.
Listen, they don't make a lot of money in the first place. You know, these guys don't. If you look and you actually talk to an Uber driver and you're like, oh, some people will say like, oh, I made $1,000 this weekend. It's like, whoa. That's crazy. Did you drive? But how much did you drive? How much did you spend on gas? How much are you paying for insurance this month?
Yeah.
You also are driving so much that you have to get a new car every some odd years, and you got to be able to afford that.
That's true.
There's so much that goes into it on the back end.
I think the big question is what you said is like, what is a gig and what is like the primary role of the gig economy? Right. Now, this was on my mind for a few reasons, because this week I saw the headlines about Uber going public, and it went public and shares were 8% lower than where it was projected to be, which is a big hit for Uber. And there's a couple things that factor into that, which I'll talk about. But the other thing that made it on my mind is the conference yesterday. Somebody spoke about how the internet has just perpetuated power structures that have that have basically mirrored the power structures in the physical world on the internet. And companies like Uber are the same, are subscribing to these same structures, and therefore their employees are subordinate to the higher ups of the company.
Yeah.
My thing is, when we're talking about this industry, is like, is it a net positive or a net negative? Now, my argument would be that it is a net positive, because it's allowed for individuals that might not have had jobs, that might not have had employment, to make some money, which is better than no money.
Yes.
And there's always going to be a hierarchy within business. At least more people can partake within the business.
Yes.
That's my view on it. So I didn't necessarily buy into we have to make everything even. It's just never going to work.
No.
And you can't dismiss the benefit that these companies have given people by allowing them to take spare time to make some more money.
Right.
The problem is that they're not treating it as gigs, and they're not taking spare time. They're taking 40 hours a week and saying, I'm going to do this as my full-time job.
Right. But see, the problem here is, and I think we have a perfect storm, because I totally agree with you. I'm totally on board that it is a net positive thing. I mean, look at how many people that wouldn't have had something to do are now able to do something, especially things like I love the idea of Etsy. I love the idea of Fiverr being able to do these small jobs, but specialized jobs, making creative things. It's great. The problem is like I said, it's a perfect storm. Look at when this happened. When did the gig economy start to flourish, right? It's right post 2011, 2012 is when it started to like kind of become a thing. And look at when the stock market crashed. Look how many people lost their jobs and now aren't able to get jobs.
Yeah.
Right before it, 3-4 years before, people are scavenging for any sort of income. So they see something and it looks tasty. Yeah. They're gonna bite the whole fucking burger.
Right.
And that's what it is.
And also, when it was taking off, and the company was much more dependent on just itself, there was probably a lot more freedom for the smaller amount of people working for it.
Yes.
Like before it scaled to the size
that
it is at now, there was probably a lot more profit to be made.
I remember when Lyft and Uber were really like only in major cities. Like they were only in New York and LA. I think literally those two cities, or like London or something. This was in like 2015. And I went out to LA because we were there for like a 4-week acting thing. And we were in an Uber with the guy. And he was literally saying, he was like, yeah, I can make like $1,000 a night doing this because there's like no drivers. So he's just driving everyone around. Yeah. He's making all of the money. But now think about how saturated it's got to be out there.
Right.
So many people have cars. Right. So many people are out there as actors, as creatives that need a little gig money, and he's probably making jack shit now.
Right. So my question is like who is to blame here? Like have these companies manipulated a population into thinking that this would be a sustainable income, or have these people just been thinking, like the employees just been thinking like this can be, I can work these jobs, I can drive, I can do these freelance gigs, I can be a task rabbit and go paint somebody's apartment for longevity. To me, and this is probably coming from like obviously a very privileged point of view, but I don't see the longevity in like you do what you have to do for money, right? You do what you got to do, and I understand the mentality. And this maybe isn't necessarily for Uber or Lyft, but to say I'm going to be a task rabbit for the rest of my life is an odd direction to go in. Yeah.
But think about what we were talking about with like these companies aren't, the proof is in the pudding. These companies aren't putting in benefits, right?
Right.
There's a reason why that's not included.
Right.
It's because they don't necessarily view this.
Well, they can't afford it either. Yeah. Like logistically, like this is not.
They don't want it to be that. It seems like. I mean, listen, if you're able to do it, great. But you're not. It's going to be like becoming an actor. It's like it's not that you're going to make as much as an actor, but I'm saying there's so many few and far between that are going to be able to make it within their financial situation and life situation, be able to make it their primary and sole source of income. It just isn't possible. When I first heard of Uber, I was like, whoa, people are going to be able to drive home from work and give someone a ride and make an extra few bucks. That's what I thought of it as. Mm-hmm. I didn't think of it as, whoa, people are going to buy cars now when they didn't have one before just so they can become a freelance taxi driver.
Yeah.
Like that in my mind wasn't a thing that you would do with it, but it's where people went.
I'm looking up right now. What I wanted to see was if there was a requirement as far as hours. So I'm trying to find right now.
Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, they do
because that would sort of that would give us some insight into
like how you have to work 20 hours a week or something like that. It'd be crazy.
So
I'm sure it's not that much.
But earn less than Uber will up to your earnings. I'm trying to find hourly guarantees. This is on the Uber website.
Yeah.
And it says on the top of the page, hourly guarantees, another way to earn. Hourly guarantees give you confidence in your earnings. When you meet the requirements, you will be guaranteed a level of gross fares.
Okay, that's just saying they get an hourly wage if they...
an hourly guarantee is a set level of gross, blah, blah, blah. Often there will be a requirement, such as acceptance rate and trips per hour that you must meet. Okay, so this sort of seems a little manipulative, as in, like, it sounds like what they probably have is an algorithm that pops up at a certain time, and it's like, hey, like surge prices that you pay at certain times?
Yeah.
But they probably have that for drivers, where it's like surge wages, and if you do 5 rides in the next hour, you can do this, but there's no guarantee. So
Right.
that's kind of shitty.
Well,
because
yeah.
it's like now, like what if you get to 4 and like the minute
It's
strikes
also
midnight?
fucking dangerous. Let's
Yeah.
talk about that for a second. You're like rushing through that 4th ride.
The other thing that it's funny that you say that, because the first link I clicked on was now they have limits to how many hours you're allowed to drive a week now.
Well, that's
So
smart.
the guidelines are 10 hours of passenger time in any 24-hour period. That's fair.
Yep, that's good.
60 hours a week of passenger time. So you can only work 60 hours a week as an Uber driver.
Still a lot. Imagine sitting in a fucking car for 60 hours every week.
Yeah.
It's a lot of time,
Yeah.
man. I couldn't do it.
Let's see on average how much an Uber driver is making a week.
You're going to get all different. I've looked at this before. You're going to get all different answers. Like I said, some of them are just going to show the flat rate, be like, well, they're making a good amount. And then you have to factor in the expenses that the company isn't paying for, but are inherent to the job itself, which is gas and parking and, meter fares and parking tickets and car payments and insurance payments. And there's so much repairs that the company doesn't pay for. That's a whole other thing that a part of this, especially with Uber and Lyft, is they're not paying for expenses for the thing that is required for their job.
Yeah.
And that's just, that is another way that it's like, this can't be a full-time thing. You have to be able to realistically look at the scenario here and be like, okay, if I do this too often, it almost becomes a detriment.
Yeah.
I'm using too much gas. I'm using too much in my car. I'm using, I'm putting too many dents.
Okay, so dents.
Uber
is making dents, dude.
Yeah,
So it says here, Uber claims that drivers take home $25 per hour, and Lyft claims that drivers can earn as much as $35 an hour.
Wow.
However, here's the however.
Here we go.
Lyft takes 20% of each fare, plus the entire booking fee, which I think can sometimes be like $5 to $8, while Uber takes 25% from each fare. So if you're looking at that, and the booking fees are, let's say, take as much, $4. It looks like $5. So $5 plus 25%. So that's $10. So you're making minimum wage.
Right.
You're making $15 an hour.
There you go.
Which is kind of what I expected, and it says it right here. But with this in mind, it's hard to earn a full-time wage by driving for Uber since a 5-mile ride earns less than $7 in many cities. Drivers will often find themselves making far less than $15 an hour.
There you go.
And this is coming from ridester.com, which has this. It actually, if you're interested in this at all, it has a really fun.
It's really interesting though, right? Like
chart.
How, because of the way that they're set up as a company and as employers to the employee, there's no real check and balance on the minimum wage. There's no real check and balance on how much what they can get away with. They're kind of in this like wild west of a world of, well, we're not governed by any rules here with our employees.
Yeah.
They're signing off their name. They're at their own risk.
Yeah.
We're at our own risk, I guess.
Yeah.
It's weird.
No, yeah. I mean, the lack of regulation and rules and everything on that end, I think they're learning a lot right now.
Yeah.
I think that every day for companies like this, they're learning something new about what they should and shouldn't be doing.
But I mean, we're talking so negatively about it right now because of Uber and
that's what
Lyft.
that's what I want to avoid, is that it's only negative if you do it a certain way.
Right.
Right? It's like, and the problem is, it's like, I feel like it reveals a broader problem in society, in that people are forced into trying to do this full time because they can't get a job doing something else full time.
Exactly. That's
so
what
to
I'm saying.
avoid
the perfect storm.
Right. To avoid unemployment, they're doing this and then complaining that they're not making as much as a full time salary.
Right. But that wasn't the point of this in the first place.
Right. And now are Uber and Lyft. So it's like, are Uber and Lyft creating the environment to take advantage of these people? Like, are they monetizing off of these people?
Yeah.
Or are these people projecting onto Uber and Lyft something that they never promised.
I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
I think it's really nobody's fault. I think it's just the internet and the shitty economy happened at the exact same time.
Because the gig economy is awesome. I mean, we've both benefited from freelance work on our own. It's like when you got other stuff going on and you get a freelance gig, that's nice.
It is.
That's amazing. Like, you got other forms of income. You have your main jobs, and you get to do like 2 or 3 freelance gigs a month, and it's like, that's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yep.
And it's a nice little bump. It's usually, I mean, that's why Uber and Lyft's a little different, because other freelance gigs like Fiverr or Etsy, it's usually like your passion, something you'd like to do. So that's cool. Like, I think that's awesome that you can sort of monetize in your spare time.
Yes.
I feel like the gig economy, I feel like, wouldn't it be like what if Uber and Lyft came out and they were like, hey, this isn't supposed to be full time, but you can make some extra money doing this. Like, the problem is when I hear ads for Lyft, and like now, like Lyft on a couple of podcasts that I listen to, like, has the podcast host read ads like for them, but not ads to use the company, to become drivers, because they're having a shortage of drivers, because obviously more people are realizing this isn't sustainable.
Right.
And the company's like, you want to give yourself a raise? This is their like pitch. You want to give yourself a raise? Drive more. And it's like,
that doesn't work.
Yeah.
You're not, if I was interested in driving, that would not be the pitch that got me. Drive more? No.
Yeah.
I don't, it's like,
I really wonder how it compares to like the old system of taxis, because I know to ride a taxi in New York, you had to make an initial investment of like $1 million.
Yeah.
Because you have to get a taxi license, which is like this special medallion that you get.
Right. And it's selective. That's a whole other thing, is like anyone and their mother can do this. That's what I was talking about with like DoorDash. But the video, I think, was at the beginning of the stream. I think the audio was actually running.
Yeah.
But,
well, repeat it.
Well, yeah. There's a video that just came out of a guy that I think was a DoorDash driver or rider or whatever. But it's a video of a home security camera right on the front porch, and he walks up, and before he rings the doorbell, he has a fucking milkshake for this family, okay, and a bag of food, and he takes the paper straw top off of the straw, sips the milkshake, and then places it back on, and then rings the doorbell, and the guy comes to the door, and he hands him his milkshake, and it's just like, anyone that I've ordered Uber Eats multiple times, and they ride up on their bike and whatever, and they've always gotten it wrong, but that person could.
Well, as a company, you're putting an immense amount of trust in the people that you have no idea who they are.
Right.
I mean, for example, like a couple of years ago, like I registered for Postmates when I was like, I bike everywhere.
Yep.
Why in the fuck not like drop some stuff off and make
Let me
like
use
an
it
extra
as a
$20
gig.
a day? Right. Exactly. There you go. But literally, it was like you fill out a form, like as if you were like creating a new email address or something. Like that's that simple. Submit it, and like the next day they're like, "Congratulations, you've been approved."
I did the same thing. I don't even have a fucking bike. They didn't check to even see if I had a bike. I have a card sitting in there that I've never used. A Postmates card.
Same. Yeah. So it's like, and you always hear horror stories of like Uber drivers doing weird shit sometimes. Like there's been like a lot of cases of that.
Yep. Because there's no check. There's no. It's too much. So that there's the fault of the companies right there.
Right.
They're biting off more than they can chew. Like, how about we use some of this money that you're making a ton of money for these executives and whatever. Maybe you should hire a really good hiring team.
Right.
To really
But it wouldn't be possible at scale. That's the problem. It's
not like, for the amount of people that they have.
Think about the amount of Uber drivers in New York, and think about if they switched it to like, okay, Uber's going to have an office in New York, and you have to go file your paperwork there and go in for an interview.
It wouldn't work.
Think about the madness that would be.
It wouldn't work.
But maybe it should be that way.
Right.
So it doesn't become oversaturated.
Exactly.
Because having it right now, I could become an Uber driver like tomorrow.
Right.
Maybe not tomorrow because you have to get your car checked and shit. But like I could do it within a week.
It's the Wild West. There's no law. There's no rhyme or reason for anything. There needs to be. There definitely, like what you just said. There definitely has to be some sort.
I feel like is the equation there? The more drivers we get, the more money we'll make. Because I feel like that's kind of a dumbest like. And I know I'm not like they probably have the best minds in the world looking at this, and maybe that's the conclusion that they've come to. But I don't see how that's.
I was just thinking about this. It might not be if we have the most drivers, but it might be if our app is used the most, then other
fares on other apps start to become obsolete and have to play to us,
like
not us play to them. I was thinking, because I took an Uber yesterday to go to Queens, and we're in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wonder before Uber what that would have cost.
Yeah.
And whether or not, because the Uber, the whole thing was like, oh, it's less expensive now. And I was like, I wonder if it actually would be less expensive for me to hail down a yellow cab. You know, because you don't even know anymore.
It wouldn't. Still, it wouldn't.
It wouldn't be less expensive. It would probably be the same or probably more.
See, because I feel like the way that this goes, and I might be making this up, but it's like when companies are on the collapse, the prices go up to try to sustain it, and then they go down.
Right.
Because they realize they start making less money and more people start going like quitting and stuff, and then it's like we're just going out of business now.
Right. So we're gonna make as much as we can before we burn.
It's like so you raise your prices first to try to make up for the deficit, but then you have like the going out of business sale,
right?
And like
everything's
this is crazy. Like on this article I have up that was talking about how, because like another problem with this is like people are saying like Americans are increasingly falling behind on their retirement savings, and it could be even worse for the millions working in the gig economy, despite the overall gig economy booming with companies like Lyft and Uber. The company's staunch resistance to meet drivers' demands for full-time employment and benefits has the potential to worsen the retirement crisis.
Yep.
Because they don't offer benefits, they don't offer retirement,
offer anything.
But like there are nearly 16 million workers in the gig economy. That's incredible. Wow. That's huge.
Yeah.
But like when you, it's, and here's what's interesting too is like, are these 16 million people factored into like the unemployment rate as having jobs? Probably, right? And that's a little bit deceiving too when you think about the unemployment rate. Like, you know how Trump's like bragging about having the lowest unemployment rate in a long time. It's like, well, like, does employment count as only working 20 hours a week? You know, does employment
this is all of the Republicans' argument against Obama's unemployment rate, because Obama always used to tout a low unemployment rate. And Republicans would fire right back and say, yeah, well, look at how many people are working part-time and not making any money. It was always the argument against it.
And then we have this again. It's a little bit of a different – this might be more accurate, though, because this article just came out today. For those who drive for Lyft or Uber full-time, the lack of proper health insurance or retirement savings plan, on top of dealing with an average hourly wage of $9.21, is a big pain point. Now –
if that's
before taxes, that's nuts.
That's nuts.
It probably is before taxes,
but again, that's also not even before taxes. Taxes on your car.
Right.
You know, fucking taxes on the gas.
Yeah.
These companies aren't paying for these things. They're allowed to just get away with this. If these things were like made to be a part of, you know, the cost that goes into running Uber, it wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't exist.
Right.
It would be far too expensive.
So then it brings me back to my original question. Like, with everything we've just been saying, it's like, is it a net positive that these gig economies exist, or is it like net negative? Like, which one does it disperse more of?
In my opinion, I've been thinking about this as we've been going through it, and I think it's beneficial. Like, we're coming up on an age now where we're going to have things automated. People are not going to be having as many, you know, regular jobs, retail, and all these things are going away. And they're going to need to make some form of money. And I think people are going to have to turn to creative. I think we're going to end up getting like some sort of, you know, golden age in art and in music. We're going to have to, because people are just going to have nothing to do.
Yeah.
And I think this servicing that is fantastic. You know, I look at things like Twitch, like we're on Twitch right now, right? And big streamers on Twitch, they have people donating to them left and right. $2, $5, $10, $2, $1.
Yeah.
That's a gig economy right there. You know, that's a, you know, being paid for your services as a creative.
Yeah.
And I think in that sense, as a creative individual, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, to be able to make money for something that you would have had to work years for just to be even seen to hopefully make money.
Right.
Now you're able to do it from the comfort of your own home. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I think for anything else, things like Uber and Lyft, where it's not a creative, it's like a 9-to-5 job, except it's not. It's being disguised as one.
Yeah.
Or being disguised as not one, depending on which way you look at it. It's not good.
Yeah.
I think creatively, 2 thumbs up. Otherwise, shit.
Yeah.
That's the way I look
so
at
do
it.
you think people just need to, because my opinion is like, I guess
I wouldn't want to be an Uber driver.
It's just, I know, neither would I, but it's hard to like say something like that because it's like I feel so privileged saying that.
I know.
Because a lot of the people that
don't
do
have a choice.
Right. Exactly.
I know. It sucks.
But, you know, is it that they don't have a choice, or is it that Uber's just the easiest? You know, it's like I think that has something to do with it too.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's like I'll just become an Uber driver. It's like, well, maybe you can get a job doing something else.
Yeah.
And you probably could.
Mm-hmm.
That's made like, even if it's like working at a restaurant or something, you're making way better money at a restaurant than at. Sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, you are making way better money. I know. I worked at a restaurant. You would, even as like a busboy or as like, you know, learning as a bar back.
And so that's not even to say like go work at a restaurant if you're an Uber driver. It's just like, I think because it's so easy to register, it's like the easy path to become like working for one of these gig economy companies like makes you feel like, oh, why interview if I can just do that?
Well,
that's like, go on the interview because it's probably going to be better.
Well, also
like nothing in life that's like valuable comes easy.
It's too easy because there's no end game.
And in that sense, it's like, can you really blame the companies? I mean, they're not asking much of you to give you a form of income. Right. They might be asking more of you once you're in the system. Yeah. But if you have no income, they're saying you can make an income. Yeah. Just sign up, basically.
Even with Postmates, you can walk.
That's why I think it's not a bad, right. You can literally, if you have 2 feet, you can go around, pick up food and do it and make like an extra $10 a day. Right. Like, hey, awesome. But I feel like, so I do kind of feel like on the employees, they are sort of asking for a little too much because like,
I think it's just a misunderstanding of what it is.
Right.
It's a total misunderstanding. You know, like, yes, people stream on Twitch 40 hours a week and it's their full-time job and they're making millions. Not a lot of people. A lot of people are doing it 8 hours, 2 times a week, and they make like $10. Right. You know, like, and that's the reality of the situation is you can't look at these things. And it's perfectly set up in the creative scenario. You're not going to become a famous artist on Etsy, but you might be able to pay for, you know, for your next vacation next year by selling on Etsy all year. Yeah. That's what you have to look at it as.
And it kind of goes back to before we started the podcast, what I said to you was what a gig used to mean was like my band has a gig. Right. We have a gig.
We have a gig this
Friday.
Friday.
It's like a one-time thing. Yep. It's not like a what's the word for it? We have a what's the word for when you play at the same time a night at the same place?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. It's like having a like a thing in Vegas. It's like having a oh my god.
What I mean is like a show run.
Like a
show
run
or something like that. Like a gig was like we booked this one time and we're gonna play it. Right. It's like an on the side thing. Right. Right.
It is like it's called like a run in Vegas. Like I'm getting a run in Vegas.
So it's like a you know, if we apply the original, like, why is it called the gig economy? Because it's supposed to be something that was meant to be on the side or in your spare time. Right. You know, people that play gigs, like at least in the music industry, they all have like other jobs and they play a gig. Yeah. To sort of like pursue their passion. Or, you know, and so I feel like just the word gig in the name of this economic system should be enough for people to be like, maybe this isn't the best thing for me to try to do full time. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I do still really empathize with the population that feels forced into it or pressured into it.
Like I said, you know, going back to the beginning as well, it's a perfect storm of shitty economic scenarios for a lot of people and a shining light that looks like a way out.
Yeah,
you know? I agree. It's what it is. It's unfortunate the two things collided when they did. One could be a really great thing, but not in the way that it's currently being, not under the scope that it currently has. Yeah. People have to look at it in a different light, and I think they'll get a lot happier beneficiaries. No, that doesn't make sense. Happier outcomes out of it. Yeah. All right.
Let's move on to some headlines that get us out of the gig economy. Keith, I have one that I've got a bunch actually.
Oh, I got some good ones, man.
Yeah, me too.
I got a great one.
Hold on, there was one that I really liked. Okay, we can start with this one.
Okay, go ahead.
So this on CNN. Alyssa Milano called for a sex strike.
Oh yeah.
To protest strict abortion laws. Sounds good. Women are not having it. Okay. Mickey's calling me. Gotta ignore him for right now. Called for a sex strike in response to restrictive abortion laws, and many women were quick to call her out. Until women have legal control over our own bodies, we just cannot risk pregnancy. Join me by not having sex until we get bodily autonomy back. Whoops. I want to hear what people said. Critics said the strike assumes that sex is only enjoyed by men, and that women's bodies are commodities that can be denied to men as a punishment.
She's doing exactly what like she hates. Like she's like basically like, let's use our bodies as a bargaining chip. He's calling me now. Sorry, man. We're on our podcast. Apologies. Are you texting him back?
Yeah.
Yeah. What she's literally doing there is saying, "Hey, we have these chips in our basket because we have vaginas. So let's use it to our advantage, even though let's not use it to our advantage in every other scenario and say that like people are using it to their advantage."
Yeah.
It's like such a crazy, like fucked up little thing.
The response to this is so funny. Living under the patriarchy has already robbed me of safety, autonomy, opportunities, and trust in our institutions. Now I'm supposed to give up sex too?
I saw that
and
one.
Play into the fiction that is just a bargaining chip / transaction for women. That was from Christy Coulter on Twitter.
Yeah.
Love you, but no.
Yeah, I saw that. And she responded to it too. Alyssa Milano responded to that one.
I wonder. Oh, she did?
Yeah, she responded to that one on Twitter.
Really?
She was like, cool. And then she like went off and said like one other thing about it. And it's like, listen, if that's what you want to do, fine. But it's also
assuming that
all men are.
It also assumes that all women are having sex with men.
Huh?
It also assumes that all women are having sex with men.
Yep.
Like,
and also,
does that mean women that are having sex with women are not? Are they on the sex strike too?
Right.
Even though they can't get.
But
pregnant?
also, they're assuming that all men are apparently wanting to control women's bodies with these abortion laws.
Yeah.
It's like this.
There's abortion. What she's referring to, I have to assume, is the abortion laws in Georgia.
In Georgia, yes,
passed.
yes, exactly.
And that's one state in the country. So
yes. You know what? I saw something really interesting about that. That was like, whoa. It was. I think I saw it on Reddit actually. Did you see the production companies shutting down? They're like, we're not going to shoot anything else in Georgia until they fix these laws.
Oh wow, that's going to cost them a ton of money.
Yeah, 2 film production companies, but people in Georgia, like in Atlanta and in the outskirts of Atlanta, were pissed.
Yeah.
Because they were like, we work in these restaurants, so now you're not going to film there. We're all the people that are affected by these bills, and now our money. You think that these Republican senators are going to feel any of that backlash from putting those bills in? No.
Right.
It's going to be the people that are working in the local businesses that don't get your actors and your filmmakers and your whole crew coming in and eating our food and doing this. We're going to suffer. So now we're not only suffering from the bill, but we're also suffering from you guys pulling your shit out of here because you're protesting. That's not the right way to do this.
Right.
Right. It like struck me. I was like, whoa, I didn't even think of that.
That's kind of how protests often have that side effect.
Yeah.
Because people they don't think of the intricacies of how economies work.
Right.
And so, for example, like there were people a few years ago that were protesting Uber that all deleted speaking of Uber, that deleted the app, like masses of people deleted it.
Right.
In protest of Uber,
right?
Not thinking that
you're screwing over all the drivers.
Yeah,
like,
right.
So
people often they just think the only thing they think of is the direct correlation and not the sub correlations that will come from affecting.
Well, the face of it.
Yeah,
they're thinking of the face and not the rest.
Right. Very silly.
Yeah, it is silly. I got a good one.
Should we only do 2 and then we'll go on unpopular opinions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This one's great. This is from WLNS.com. I don't know what that is, but couple eats raw rodent meat for, quote, good health and dies of bubonic plague, man.
That's an amazing headline.
They got the fucking plague.
That headline is a story in and of itself. There's a narrative structure in there.
It's in Mongolia. A Mongolian couple. Now, I'm laughing because it's so ridiculous. But a Mongolian couple died from the bubonic plague after eating a raw rodent's meat and kidney. The couple ate marmot, which is similar to a groundhog. And then they fucking got the plague, which is like hasn't been
The
around.
funniest thing is that they got the bubonic plague.
Yeah, yes, it's like what?
It's like a meme.
Don't eat fucking rats, people.
Or some dead ones too.
Yeah, did we learn? Did we learn in the 1300s or whatever the fuck that was?
No, we didn't.
It's so long ago. I don't know.
Okay, so
Hilarious.
that was a very good headline. This headline though is one of my favorites that I've ever come across.
Oh no, what is it?
R. Kelly can't read, court told.
Yes. Yes. The court says he can't read.
We're recording. R. Kelly spent much of Wednesday in court with his lawyer explaining to one judge that the singer didn't respond to a lawsuit brought by one of his sexual abuse accusers because he is illiterate.
Oh.
In his second hearing, Kelly paid $62,000 in back child support.
Dude, Rob Kelly, man. Rob fucking Kelly.
So, also, if you guys haven't seen, my favorite R. Kelly thing now that I've been exposed to is him performing.
Who is it, Grant? Is it Crystal
Well,
Leah talking about
but
it?
He's performing in Ethiopia.
Yes.
And he's on stage and he literally sings,
Do you have your
Do you
passport?
have your passport?
Did you get your shots?
Girl, do you want to come back with Rob, which is his real name,
Yeah, Rob.
to America?
It's the best.
Search, if you're listening to this, you have to search R. Kelly singing in Ethiopia and him just belting, do you have
And
your
then he like riffs it
passport?"
too. He like goes off.
He goes up. He's like, do you have your passport?
Yeah.
Did you get your shots? Girl, do you want to come back with Rob to America? Singing this to like a bunch of poor people in Ethiopia.
Right. Like the most ironic. It looks like it's out of a South Park episode.
And then can't read.
yeah.
Okay.
It's great. All right. I have one more. I don't know whether I should do the really... Well, they're both kind of really fucked up. Okay, Grant. Knowing nothing about either of them, one has to do with a plane and the other has to do with the Holocaust. Choose.
Plane.
Plane. Okay. Death toll bigger because passengers stalled the emergency evacuation from a plane on fire in order to pick up their hand luggage. So... A plane fucking burst into flames.
Yikes.
And people looked behind them, saw people burning to death.
In air?
Well, the picture that it shows here is it's on the ground. So it must have landed or not taken off yet and something went wrong, right? But looking behind them, everyone's dying. Wait, hold on. I got to get my T-shirts from up above.
Yeah.
Hold on a second, people. Going up and reaching for their fucking, backpack. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, what age are we living in? That would have never happened 10 years ago. It wouldn't have happened. People would get the fuck out of that plane. But nope, their fucking Nintendo Switch is sitting...
That is a very odd reaction to have to something like that.
Right? Like, honestly, if a plane burst on fire and you were in, like, the front...
I wouldn't even think about getting my stuff.
No,
I'd
I'd
get
be
the fuck
right...
off the plane.
Yep.
That is... Wow. That's
like
some,
people
that's
that...
some deep-rooted, materialistic
Do you remember when we
right
were...
there.
Yeah. Do you remember when we were in... when we were dorming and, like, the fire alarm would go off, right?
Yeah.
And, like, if you were in the shower, like, yeah, you're going to get a towel and everything, right? But there are some people that, like, I remember, like, they would just chill out in their rooms. Like, you have no idea what's going... It could be a fire alarm, or it could be a drill, or it could actually be a real thing, right? But they're putting their fucking curlers in their hair. Yeah. Like, hello? Getting their laptops. Come on.
I feel like people just cannot conceptualize emergencies because they're such aberrations, like they're so out of the blue that they're not conditioned that, like,
we're also totally desensitized to it.
I also think that maybe, now that you said that, maybe the whole, like, the amount of drills that we have
desensitizes.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say we're desensitized to it because
we're
so safe all the time.
Right.
Everything is always
that's
so
kind of
safe.
what I'm saying. Like, it's like a combination of, like, the degree of safety as paired with the amount of drills just in case.
Right.
That it's like, and every time there's a drill, they always, like, let you know, like, oh, it's just a drill.
Yeah.
Just a drill,
Don't worry
just a
about
drill.
it. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's
Nothing's
fine.
happening. And so it's like when something does happen, you're just like, I'll just go get my book from my bag.
Yeah. We'll
I'll
just
take my
walk down
time.
the hall.
Yeah. Plane's on fire. Let me go get my nuts out of my bag.
Yeah.
Kind of hungry.
Yes.
Let me go get my nuts.
Waiter, my coffee's not here yet.
Yeah.
Flight attendant.
Plane's on fire. Excuse me, flight attendant. Do you have any ginger ale?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Do we do 2 each? Is that it?
Yeah.
I think we did 2, right?
Yeah.
G-Craw is like craving to do one more.
No, I'm not.
Oh.
I'm not. I got some great unpopular opinions.
Well, I
for
haven't
today,
even looked
though.
at those yet.
I can sustain us for a while because
Alright.
I got some good ones.
Go ahead.
Now, where to start? I wanted to start with one that was on point, since we are based in Brooklyn, and I'm surprised that we haven't read one like this yet. But New York City is a shithole. And let me read a little bit of what this guy has to say from
Alright.
Cypher in the Know. Change it. Seriously, everybody loves to love the Big Apple, but it's not that special. It's cramped and smelly and filthy. Most of the historic charm are tenement buildings that used to be slums that got converted into hipster condos. All the real New Yorkers who used to make the New York edgy and full of characters can't afford to live in New York. Everything is cheesy and... Okay, so I'm not going to read the rest of this just to say that this guy probably went to Williamsburg.
Yeah. I mean, listen, there's some truth to what he's saying.
There's truth to what he's saying in every city, though.
Yes.
Like, that's what...
True. True.
Welcome to, like, living in an urban environment that experiences cycles of gentrification, dude.
Well,
you know?
well, okay. Now I'll counter you. Boston isn't filthy. It's not smelly.
I'm not talking about the filth and smelliness so much as I'm talking about what he's saying with the historic charm and like converted buildings, which is a direct result of gentrification.
Well,
the
that's
smelliness and the filthiness. First of all, I actually don't think New York is that filthy. I really don't.
New York's
I don't think that it's that smelly. I think that there are areas that are certainly smelly. If you're walking through Chinatown, it's very, very smelly.
Yeah, but
on a day-to-day basis, I do not
the
go
subway
through the
in the
city.
summer. The subway in the summer
The subway in the summer is
smelly
because
as
everybody's
shit.
sweating
And there's
it's
hot piss.
Yeah.
Fucking coming down the tunnel with the train.
Yeah. So there's certainly like it's certainly messy. I don't think that it's I wouldn't classify it as filthy.
I think but I think like look at whenever I think of New York and I classify it as filthy, I look at what the subway looks like, right? Because that's where people spend most of their time is traveling in the subway, and the subway compared to like somewhere like if you look at Japan's subway system or the tube in London,
Yes.
those things are immaculate.
Well,
They're
not
immaculate.
necessarily. I mean, I've been on the tube in London, and it's not like a tremendous difference.
No,
from
but
New
it's
York.
it's clean. I mean, it's gross down in our subway. It's gross.
It's a little gross. I mean, to me, it's not, again, to me, but I am also not sensitive to these kinds of things, so I might just be coming at it from my disgusting head, because, like, I'm not sensitive to these kinds of things
Yeah.
at all. To me, it's not that bad.
I'm not sensitive to it. I'm like, just,
I'm just a horrible human being. I'm just awfully disgusting as a
Nice.
person. Yeah, like I
You
do
know what?
dirty
I'm
things.
glad-
I'm a filthy man.
I'm glad we could come to an admittance on that. It's taken a while.
And then he goes on.
everyone.
The New York City subway is creaky and busted, true, and full of crazy drug addicts and nasty hood rats that just want to fight. Okay.
That's going a little far.
Yeah. I mean,
crazy drug
That
addicts.
seems to me making a judgment call on just the crazy people that are in every city.
Yeah, and I think a lot. First of all, a lot of the people that you see on the subway are they're mentally ill. People.
Oh, and this
they're
is
like
good.
Special needs people.
And Brooklyn is full of insufferable wannabe artists that are posing on Instagram on their way to their pizza jobs. That's not necessarily not true.
I don't have a pizza job, you dick.
But Brooklyn is very full of people like, I mean, New York.
Listen,
and this is any city center, but it's definitely full of posers.
I think
for
what he's
sure.
saying too is this guy visited the fucking East Village in the 90s and saw all the cool people that were there, and like they've all moved on now because they can't afford to live in the East Village anymore. And so now this guy's like, who the fuck are all these people? The city sucks. It doesn't.
Yeah,
suck
he
that
even
much.
responded to this saying, "To the supposed New York insiders who accuse me of being a day tourist, never having left Times Square, or that I just don't know the right cool neighborhoods. Yeah, that must be it. I just haven't found the next green point yet, or whatever. Bitches, I am old. I knew New York in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and I know its latest Disney Field version, which is duller and more of a big dirty mall than anything else. And I can hack the city just fine. Spent most of my life living in cities of over 5 million people. Just some cities function better than others, and New York is not one of them. After a while, one has to ask themselves, why are they putting up with this shit, and what's more, paying double for the misery? That's any really major city center, though.
I tell you though, I come at it with a different perspective of growing up in Boston and living in New York, and I will tell you, I love the city of Boston. Everything about it, I love. The only reason I'm here is for a career, right? I love everything about that city, physically, and its people and everything, 10 times more than I love things here. It's just cleaner. They do it better. It's a smaller city, sure. It's not like a fucking 5 million person city. It's spread out, but they do it the right way. And I think I get what he's saying.
I like New York because I sort of like the chaos of it.
It is chaotic.
I like the chaos of it. Like, I like the collision of like the homeless crazy guy in the subway sitting next to the Hasidic Jew, sitting next to the hipster wannabe artist, sitting next to the big time. So you're complacent
with homelessness, Grant? Is that what you're saying?
Sitting next to the big time CEO. Like, me seeing all those different lifestyles collide in New York, it happens in a way that doesn't happen in other cities that are more the weight of the city revolves around one industry over others, I feel like. Whereas in New York, it's such the biggest economic powerhouse in the world, one of the biggest. And because of that, there's so many different industries here. So you really do get a collision of everything coming together in a way that I don't feel like happens in LA.
Yeah, that's real.
Which is more the weight of the industry there is one industry. Yeah. So I like the chaos here.
Fair.
You don't like it?
I don't
care. I don't care if you don't like it. I don't really care.
Hey, well, let me get my fucking foot in, okay?
I'm not talking to you, dog. I'm not talking to you.
Bro, you can. I control the mics, man. I control the mics. I'm gonna shut your shit off. I'm just turn the off switch.
Piggy Keith is oinking again. You got some oinks.
No, stop.
Some oinks.
Nope. Boston's better. Moving on. This nice unpopular opinion. I like being bitten by mosquitoes. You're a sick fuck. You're a sick motherfucker. I don't know what part of that would be enjoyable for you. Let's see what he says. It's very interesting. Good choice of word.
Okay.
To sit there and watch them draw out the blood. I can sometimes see them
he took that in a direction that is just.
I feel like I'm letting a mosquito have a nice meal.
Hey, man. No. Watch it. It's not nice to watch them drink blood out of you. You creep.
Yeah, this is that.
Find something nicer to watch. Like, what? How miserable is your life that's your form of entertainment?
Right. It's like that's like your meditation practice. Is like watching a fucking mosquito.
Not even like that. It's like there's so many nice wildlife documentaries on Netflix. Watch one of those. Do you have to watch wildlife suck blood out of your forearm?
Pro tip. Do you know how to kill a mosquito in the best way possible?
Fucking slap it.
No, dude. No. That's the savage way. You gotta do it the torturous way. When they go into your arm and like they're in your fucking bicep. Like
you
here.
Flex so they blow up.
Yeah, you flex so they can't pull their needle out, and then they just.
That's gross.
Splatter everywhere.
That's disgusting, Keith. Don't give our viewers that advice. That's awful.
Listen, I'm an animal.
Okay, so I thought this one was so funny, even though it's not even really an unpopular opinion.
Okay.
And it is, we are not pregnant. She is.
It's great.
I love it.
It's great.
Being a supportive partner and father, shouldering an equal part of the responsibility and work, being present and participating in the entire process as much as possible isn't being pregnant.
No, it's still not as much as having a human in your belly.
If you are a guy that says we're pregnant, you gored. If you're a guy who says we're pregnant, not my wife is pregnant, go outside, shut the door. You're not coming back in. You're living in the backyard.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You took that. You took that fucking.
Go outside, shut the back door, find a blanket because you're gonna be cold. Sleeping outside.
If you say that you're pregnant in front of your wife?
No, I'm just gonna come into your house. Not even your wife. If you say, if I hear you, if you're at your work friend's barbecue and you're having, and it's inside for some reason, and you're having a conversation with your coworkers and you say, yeah, we're pregnant. I bust in the door. You hear a knock. I know if they don't open the door in 2 seconds, I bust down the door. I'm like, who said it?
Bitch, who is it?
And he's like, we're pregnant.
Let's go.
I do this. I wave him over.
No
I'm like,
words,
come out
just
here.
let's go.
I throw him outside. I lock the door. I say, find a blanket. It's gonna be cold out tonight.
and then you leave and you go on to the
Yeah.
next weird pregnant
Yeah.
person. Okay. How do you feel about this one, Grant? I'd rather have a gym full of fat people instead of buff meatheads. Interesting dynamic.
I don't really have an opinion on that.
Interesting dynamic. I don't either, but if I were to go to a gym, I feel like I would want people that are in shape to be around me, so it forced me to want to be in shape.
I agree with that. I wouldn't want to. If you're at a gym with a bunch of people that are out of shape, do you just start feeling like, is that me? I go to this gym, you know?
Right. Yeah.
But, I mean, I see benefits of both. You could be like, oh, I have an image of what I would like to be and what I would not like to be.
Yeah, I also see downfalls of both, too. If you go to a gym with a bunch of buff people and you're not buff, you're just going to get super self-conscious. And
how about you go to the
back.
gym and not look at the people around
Right.
you?
How about you just work out? Just lift some weights and go home.
I'm so sick of people using the gym for, like, ulterior motives.
Dude, I have the best story at the gym, and it was at the Pace gym. I'll tell it really quick. I was fucking on the row machine. No, not the row machine. What the hell was I doing? I was doing flies. I was doing flies, and right in front of the fly machine is the treadmill, and I watched this girl fucking mosey her way into the gym in her fucking gym clothes. She comes up, gets in the treadmill, turns it on, takes 5 steps with her phone in front of her, takes a selfie, hits the off button, and goes away from the gym. She fucking leaves. She came into the
That's what
gym
I'm saying,
for
man.
her selfie.
That is such a demonstration of, like, why people do things at all.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I was appalled.
Yeah.
I was like, this is really, I can't believe I'm working out here.
Oh my god.
I can't work out here.
Speaking of shit like that, I was on the Brooklyn Bridge. I was biking across the Brooklyn Bridge, and I straight up saw like 2 bros, like bro looking guys on the bridge. One of them was biking really slow, and the other one was running backwards trying to take a video on the bridge.
Jesus Christ.
And I was like,
oh, Jesus Christ.
I was like, you see the water? Jump in. Take your gourd.
It's a long fall. Have fun.
Right. It's a long fall, and I hope you think about what you've done on your way down.
Oh my god.
Okay? All right. Now I have one. I have one that's really well themed for today. It's Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. We love you. But you're not a mother if you have a pet.
Oh,
so this
God,
one
man.
reads,
Yeah.
you are not the parent of your pet. They are not your child. I will not wish you happy Mother's Day because you have a cat. Hey, did you squeeze the cat out of your vag?
Wait, we talked about this last week, Grant. It doesn't have to be out of your vag.
Okay, fine.
You can pop.
Did you have? Are you? Did you either grow the child inside of you or adopt it? And is it a human? If your answer is no, go outside, find a blanket. It's going to be cold out tonight, okay? You're sleeping outside.
Savage level 100. Yes. Agreed, Grant. Even though you take things too far, man.
Pisses me off, man.
Pisses
me. Like, imagine being that person, like, I love Bubbles so much. Happy Mother's Day to me. Like, the other people aren't even posting it. They're not like, happy birthday to Sarah and her cat. Happy Mother's Day to Sarah, because I know she has a cat.
Did the cat get you a Mother's Day gift? I bet not.
Yeah. Ugh.
All right.
How lonely are you? You're so pathetic. Seriously.
Maybe do what? One more each?
Yeah. I have an interesting one. I have a bunch of good ones.
All right. Do yours now. I'm not going to listen to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pornography is sexualizing stepfamilies and slowly normalizing incest.
Oh, Jesus. Hey, I mean,
in the last 5 years or so, I've noticed a massive influx of incest scenarios on Pornhub and other free-to-use tube sites. These insanely popular videos, some in the tens of millions of views, sexualize familial relationships with the highest quality production going into depicting sexual acts between stepmothers and sons, stepfathers and daughters, step-siblings, etc. We have a number of videos in which actors are role-playing teenagers in high school. The actors are made to look as young as possible, and the situations attempt to capture a regular household in which a kid might have a stepbrother or a stepfather who is actively pursuing a sexual relationship with them. In some videos, stepmothers are encouraging stepdaughters to have sex with their sons or husbands and vice versa.
Whoa, that was a lot.
So, this is a thing that's happening, and you don't even have to watch porn to know it. You can look at stats. There's that chart that shows the most looked up
Yes,
so
I was going to bring that up. Yeah.
videos on Pornhub, and in a number of states, the most popular videos are some are incest, and straight up incest, and others are like stepfather or stepmother or stepsister, and categories like that. I mean, clearly, this is like some Freudian shit that's going on here.
Yes.
It's interesting from a psychoanalysis perspective, in that what's the popularity of these videos deriving from, and I don't know. I feel like it has something to do with like the Oedipus complex, like the Freudian Oedipus complex of like being in love with your mom,
it's
or the
weird,
first like
man.
female figure, and then I feel like it's people that, because basically what happens in like the Oedipus complex, and I'm going to really probably slaughter this a little bit, but the theory goes is that you're in love with your mom until you realize like your father is the like the primary male, that you're in love with your mom, your father denies like any sort of fantasy or dream of you ever being attracted to your mom, and so you eventually, in the gist of it is, you get over your Oedipus complex.
Yes.
But in some scenarios that doesn't work out for some reason, and so you, in your subconscious, like in your ego, which is what Freud refers to as like your subconscious, in that part of your brain that you don't control, there exists like some sort of desire for these first female figures within your life, which might be your sister, which might be your mother.
Yeah, you like
And
confuse
for
like
some
the
reason,
love.
I feel like maybe just like the past 20, 30 years, there's something interfering with that Oedipus complex, the natural progression of it, and maybe less people are overcoming their Oedipus. This is a really roundabout answer to this than other people just being creeps and weirdos.
Yes, I
which
think
is
that's
just another way to
what
put
it
it.
is. Yeah.
But
you're
I
really
think
giving them an out here.
I think they're creeps and weirdos because they have not resolved the Oedipus complex.
Well,
which
I just find it really bizarre that like it's so prevalent. You know, not saying I watch porn, but that shit is readily available.
Yeah, it's
and like not even labeled as it. All of a sudden, you just like, oh, okay, that's the scene we're playing out.
Right.
That's what we're doing here.
All right. You want one more for us?
Yeah, I'll do one more. I just fucking agree with this one because I'm having a problem lately with my damn sister. She's going to fucking nightclubs all the time in Boston, okay? Because she like works, quote unquote, at a nightclub. And this unpopular opinion says pubs and bars are far better than nightclubs. And I couldn't fucking agree more, Grant. I couldn't fucking agree more with that one. I don't really have much to say about it other than like, if I can't hear you, then we're not having a good time.
So my girlfriend says I'm an old man for this reason, and if we go into a bar together, like if we decide to go out and get a drink, I can't. She knows. She's like, she literally asked me, "Is this too loud for you?"
Yeah,
because I have zero tolerance for that.
Yeah,
I hate that shit.
It's too much. If we are gonna be yelling at each other to try and communicate,
she calls me.
Let's
an old
just
man.
go home.
That's my opinion. She calls me an old man for it. I'm like, I just don't want to have to raise my voice,
right,
and go like this every time you say something. What?
Yeah.
What?
Excuse me.
I don't see the point in that, especially if you're just trying to chill.
Also, the prices, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. Pub's not gonna charge me a cover fee.
Clubs are fun if like you want to like dance.
Yeah.
But I never want to dance.
We're white and we don't dance.
That has nothing to do with it. Okay? You always have to go to race, don't
we? We don't dance, man.
You always have to go to race.
Do your dance.
Is it because we're white or is it because we don't like dancing?
Do your dance. Do your dance, Grant.
Dude, I'm not going to do that on camera.
For the live camera viewers,
I'm not going to do it on camera. I don't want to. Listen, if YouTube,
don't want to show up and show out?
sees me doing my dance on camera, they're going to flag us for far too much sexual actions going on in this video, okay? It's very promiscuous. It's very, very
What if I told
sensual.
you? What if
It's
I
gonna
told
get
you
people
we weren't on
excited.
YouTube? What if I told you we were streaming to Chatterbait?
No, what? I don't even know what that is. I don't know what that is, Keith, but your knowledge of family porn and Chatterbait is a little bit questionable.
I'm just into the
and you're making racy comments about people who can dance, and I think you're unhinged. I think you're a little unhinged.
It's been a long day, Grant.
I'm just saying. I'm
into the fucking streaming, whatever that streaming may be.
Yeah. Yeah, so one last thing is music wasn't actually any better in the past. And
bullshit.
Debatable, man. I mean,
bullshit.
I don't think that you're allowed to necessarily say that. You can say that music was really good in the past, which it was. I think music also really good now.
I think music was more complex.
I don't. When you think about the capacity of music today, it's beyond anything that could have ever been imagined 40 years ago.
Yes, but Beethoven couldn't have written his symphonies in a night like people are able to do by looping, and it was just more.
So what's wrong with that? Like,
there's nothing wrong with it.
The rate at which somebody writes something has nothing to do with the quality of it.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm saying that it's more complex. I
don't agree with that. Have you ever listened to the complexities of like a Skrillex song?
Yeah, but like that's also just a lot of shit going. Listen, Skrillex, great, right? But there's a lot of shit going on in my ears.
But just for the Beethoven, though.
No, but just for the sake of shit going on in my ears.
The production quality of some artists today is insane.
Skrillex will never be remembered to the way that Beethoven is.
But that's because Beethoven was a first. Like Beethoven was one of the first to become popularized.
Yeah, but that's also because those writers, Beethoven and Bach, they were famous in a time where there wasn't as much availability to have a platform to put stuff out there. So it's like It's like anybody. Like the Beatles were famous because they were the first people that were like picked up by popular media. But dude, they wrote playing music. They wrote 25-minute concertos.
No,
for 10 different instruments.
Right, but what I'm saying is that
they didn't have any way to even listen to it.
Like what
they just had to know it would work.
What you can do today has offered so many different variables and outlets and options that to say that music was more complex back then, I think is a little bit disingenuous given the complexities of the software that you can use today.
I'm saying complex, not in the way that it's yes, of course you can make any fucking sound you want today. You can literally take any sound and turn it into any sound. There's so many different things that you can do, but it's less impressive to do that now than it is back then to understand how 10 different instruments work, understand the keys of those instruments. It's like
I don't think so. I actually disagree with that. I think it's equally as impressive. It's just different hardware that you're working with.
I think
you're learning different hardware.
You will never convince me that Skrillex writing one of his songs.
I only use Skrillex as an example of complexity.
He's a good example though. I mean, he's a good example. I mean, there's not a lot of people that understand as many different sounds today as he does.
I think that music today gets a bad rep because of what's popularized. And what's popularized is not necessarily the most complex or complicated. But to say music today isn't as good as the past, you're also dismissing any modern compositions that are made by classical artists.
That's fair.
And I think you're dismissing like...
But that's what they're talking about is music of today, as in pop music of like... We're going with popular music, the popular genre.
But also, if we're going with that, then like we can't really compare Beethoven. I think what they're saying is
Beethoven was pop music back then. That was pop music.
Right, but it's classical music. I imagine what people are saying that with something like this, it's often said that music today isn't as good as music from like the 60s and 70s. That's often the common argument made, and I would disagree with that as well.
I would disagree with that.
I mean,
I like that music more.
I think that it's all good music. I don't know why people have to say like music today, or even people that say music today is better than it was in the past. It's like it's not. It's just different. And as times change and technologies develop, there's different modes of creating it.
Right.
Like I hate people that dismiss like when they say like producers these days that make like these crazy production quality, like insane if you really listen to it, every little sound they create like an entire soundscape. Right, and
people say it sucks.
Yeah, they're like that's not talent because it's not a real instrument.
It's like, do you understand?
But it's like what would you call it then? That's why I'm saying it's people using different hardware and software to produce music. They're still producing music, but the route to get there is just changed.
I use the
And I don't think
classical
that
example because I think, in my mind at least, classical music is just on a whole different level.
Well, classical music kind of rests outside of it, and as if you want to get that,
Yeah.
and and in addition to that, like classical music, like I was saying before, is still around today. Like, so there are still symphonies and there are still orchestras that perform those symphonies, and so
Yes.
it's not necessarily comparable, because if you were to compare like that to the classical
Then you would-
music a long time ago,
Right.
it
it's
would be
similar.
Yeah, there's
fair.
not much of a change.
All right. Wanna
All right,
call
let's
there,
wrap it
Matt?
up. All right, thanks guys.
Yeah.
See you next week.
Peace out. Vote for me.
Hello.
I'm gonna hit the
Finish your episode?
We just wrapped.
Did I ring at the end of it, or did I ring just after?
Just at the end.
just at the end, like literally the last sentence.
Oh, fuck.
You good? Hit that stop streaming button, bro.